and welcome, and it's so lovely to see you. You've talked about your mental health battle in the past, actually, and in your autobiography, you spoke about how you had a row with one of your coaches, and at the time your reaction to that was to try and cut yourself. So it's been something that has sort of been there for a while, but actually it was last summer that it just became a whole lot more sinister.
Yeah, it was. It's something I've always had low times in my life, and I think everyone does. And being in sport, you experience massive highs and lows, and you know you have to sometimes take the highs with the lows, and that's life. But last summer, I particularly hit new levels of what I would consider low, and to a point where I felt very helpless and lonely, despite having so many people around me who were incredibly supportive and understanding. Yeah. It's still it feels very isolating when you feel that low. So
we all followed you and how brave you all were to attempt Everest. And it always comes with those terrible risks, apart from the fact it's an incredibly dangerous place, but it comes with those risks that you don't always succeed. Many people who've attempted to climb Everest have not succeeded. And so for you, it did prove just that bit too much. But we all thought, I mean, she's incredible even to give it a go, so there's no shame in not getting up there. So what was it that triggered you? Was it the fact that you didn't make it, or was it when you got home?
Well, I'd suffered from hypoxia, which has been related to sort of potentially create an onset of either anxiety or depression.
This is the lack of oxygen.
The lack of oxygen to the brain, and my oxygen saturation plummeted particularly low while I was up there. And when I got back, I just started to feel my sort of heart racing and feeling very uneasy. And at first I was like, I don't know I must be coming down with something, I'm ill. But those feelings kind of developed over a period of a week or two. And it wasn't so much that I was disappointed I didn't make it. Of course I was disappointed, but it's life and death. It's not like winning or losing a race. There was no decision to make. But the physiological changes that happened in my body, and then coming home to a situation which was less than settled at home with the divorce and the fact that I was in an empty house and I needed to sell it, and it was just overwhelming amount of things going on. I just overflowed. And
you did go to the doctor and you sought out specialist help, and you were given medication.
Yes.
And again, what works for some people doesn't necessarily work for everyone. And as you were taking this medication, you were feeling even less like yourself.
It's quite common that it takes a couple of weeks for quite a few different types of medication taken for depression and anxiety to actually start working. And I was like, you know what, this is just too hard. I'm not sure if I can make it through a couple of weeks. Because I feel worse. I felt a lot worse. And it doesn't suit everybody. And that's when I decided to do something different about it, which was a little bit unconventional, disappear off to Costa Rica for a month to go surfing. This is after spending some time at home with my mum, just recovering, to get outside my own, my brain almost.
But the thing is, before you went to, and we're going to talk about the Wave Project in a moment, which is a brilliant idea.
It is.
Before you went to Costa Rica and you went and you discovered surfing and the freedom of that, I mean, you had got to the stage where you said, I don't want to see the end of another day. You'd accumulated pills.
Yes.
And so, thankfully, and once when we were talking about this with Katie Price at the beginning of the show, she spoke to someone, she talked to someone about the issues that she was having. For you, it was exactly the same. You picked up the phone, you phoned Steve Peters, who's the psychiatrist at British Cycling.
Yep.
And he then called your brother, I think, and your brother came and took the pills away. But that reaching out, that talking to someone, which you've always done, I mean, you've always been terribly honest, but that was an important moment.
It was. I felt like, I mean, I'm not someone who gives up easily. And although I had this overwhelming sense that I didn't want to endure any more of the way I was feeling, because it's so incredibly frustrating when you think I'm very capable and I'm strong and I can get out this, and why do I feel this bad? And I'm not suffering, like in terms of I'm not homeless or living in a conflict zone or suffering with a serious physical illness, or someone in my family isn't. You know, I had nothing really to complain about. And then that sense of guilt as well on top of that. But I just thought I'd ring Steve, and he picked up immediately and sort of talked to me for a bit and kind of tried to help me understand the way I was feeling and rationalise it and allow me to sort of try and find a way to sort of remove myself from that difficult mindset.
And again, I mean, and I said this before, but what's right for one person isn't right for the other, and you had to find your own personal journey with this. And for you, as you said, you got away. You went to Costa Rica and you started surfing, and nature played a huge part in your recovery.
Yeah. Being outdoors, I think, and doing a sport, especially a sport that has an element of risk to it, like surfing, because the ocean is a powerful force, you don't mess with it. And you have to be very focused when you're doing it. You just can't be sitting there thinking about other things. You're focusing on trying to put yourself in the right position, not getting caught out by a difficult wave set coming in. And you're physically working very hard. And in doing that, I found after a couple of weeks of going out regardless every morning, even when I was dragging my surfboard to the ocean some mornings, I hadn't slept, I felt very, emotional. As soon as I got out there and I was paddling 10, 20 minutes later, it seemed like a weight had been lifted.
Yeah.
And being outdoors and being active works for me. But, I used to be an athlete, so maybe that makes, sense.
But you were doing talking therapy at the same time alongside it, so it was the combined
everything
of two.
together, but definitely trying to get myself out into a different environment.
My dad built the first surfboards in the UK.
Oh, wow!
And he was part of a very big sort of surfing family who understood what you got out of the sea, understood what you could have there, and what it was like as a sport. Even if you were a beginner, you'd never done it before. What's the Wave Project?
So the Wave Project is a charity that works with young people who are in difficult circumstances. It allows them to sort of have surf therapy. So there's lots of programmes all around the country, and they take kids out, and if there's no waves, we just build rafts with the surfboards and play games and stuff like that. But it kind of harnesses the power of the ocean and how it creates resilience in people. Because it is, there is a risk to it, and therefore you have to be resilient, and it's a powerful force, so you have to almost be patient and understanding with it. And with yourself, you can't hit every wave and surf it perfectly. Sometimes it doesn't work out.
And with you, I think it's important to say that this isn't a cure. This isn't something. This is probably something that you may have to live with and control all your life, but you'll know your own signals, your own triggers, because you looked into that and dealt with it and worked with it.
That's it. And I think having something that works for you there in your kind of armoury almost in some ways, to be like, I'm starting to recognise this feeling in myself. I know what I need to do for me, whatever that may be, whether that's going out into the ocean or going to spend some time outside in nature or taking up something new, a new sport or something where your brain is engaged and you're outside of your own thought processes. I think there's something very much in pushing yourself outside your comfort zone in order to get out of your own head. Because that was my problem. It was just the thoughts, stuck in the thoughts, paralysing me.
Really simple exercise. Remember, I think Trisha, do you remember Trisha who used to do the morning show? And one of the first people I heard that said she had sort of mental health issues and her head sometimes got the better of her, and exercise was the thing she said, even the smallest amount.
So many people
pushing yourself a bit, pushing yourself a little bit more, and you'd be amazed how it distracts your head.
That's it. I think that's really important, and we all can have access to that. Sometimes we might need someone to grab us by the hand and pull us out the door to do it, and obviously people around you to support you and coach you and counsel you through those times. But I think getting outside is a big part of it, and it was for me.
All right. Well, listen,
we look forward to seeing you in Celebrity Who Dares Wins. There's another challenge. You don't stop, do you?
No.
So this is, I think it goes out in the spring. It's part of the Stand Up to Cancer, Channel 4.
What a challenge
campaign.
that'll be.
It really is. I mean, what a thing to have done.
Yeah.
Tough.
Yeah, it was really tough. But again, I had to do it because if I had said no to it, I was already giving in before I'd started. And I felt 50% better after I came back.
Good.
I know it's hard to believe.
Thank you, and it's great to see you doing so well as well.
Thank you.